Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of HSV International, the English HSV fan podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Lennart. Hi, Lennart.
Hi, Philipp. Nice to be here.
Yes, nice to be here and nice to moderate through the 7th episode today. Already 7 episodes. Crazy how time flies. Today, we are looking back on the game against Cologne. We will have some news of the week for you and also look forward to the match against Dortmund. But first of all, we owe you a solution on our question of the week from last week, which was given to us by a listener from Lennart. Where was he from?
It was your father,
no.
Philipp.
Yeah, it was my
How could you
father.
forget that?
You're right.
So I
Yeah,
believe he's
true.
from Essen.
Yes, he's from Essen. Sure. Of course, yeah. And he asked for a player who transferred from Essen to Hamburg and is still a part of HSV. Yes. And
Yeah, that was the question, right?
yeah, in fact, we already delivered the solution during the episode because it was, Lennart, who was it?
Sascha Kirstein, you mentioned him, but we both didn't know he was still at the club. So
Exactly.
there was a lack of knowledge still in our minds.
Exactly. And he's now, I think, the goalkeeper's coach in the women's team, right? In the women's first
that's
team.
Position now, yeah.
So thank you for this question last week. And now all our listeners know who is the player that we have looked for. So today, coming to today's episode, it's not only the two of us again. It's our third guest in our quite young podcast who is with us today. And I'm very honored to welcome Bonnie to our podcast. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Great to be here.
Yes. So, Bonnie, you are from?
I'm from Dortmund. I think that's the main reason why I'm here today.
Maybe not the main reason, but it's one of the reasons. Yes.
That's at least a special occasion. Yeah.
And we will use this occasion together with you to look forward on the Dortmund match. But first of all, let's maybe introduce you to our listeners. So, Bonnie, would you introduce yourself for just a little bit and mention how did we meet each other and when?
Yeah, so I'm in the same fan club as you, and that's mainly the reason why we know each other. So I think, Philipp, we know each other since almost 10 years, I would say. And Lennart, it's already longer that we know each other. So it's almost 15 years, I guess.
Yeah, 15
So
years.
quite a long time.
The first match day on the season 11-12 in Dortmund.
Wow, yeah. So what a great occasion to talk about it today.
Do you remember how the game ended?
Sadly, yes, we've lost. It was the opening game after Dortmund won the first of the two championships.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it was 2 years later, 2013, that our last win in Dortmund was. So
not our last, but 1 year later, I think we've won 4-1. It was the best win.
Yeah, I meant this match. I thought it was 2013. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was 2013, but it wasn't the last win.
Did we win after this game? After the 4-1?
Sure we've won another game.
I thought that would have been our last victory too. And
really, the 4-1?
I thought so. I remember some wins in Hamburg, but in Dortmund, I'm not sure.
I really thought there would have been another win, but 2014, 1 year later.
Okay.
But this was the last win, yeah.
Imagine, more than 10 years ago.
But to be fair, 7 years we didn't play them, so we had the chance to win there. Yeah, but before we start with our, I would say, normal program, so to talk about the last game against Cologne, you saw our game before in Wolfsburg from a very, very special seat, Bonnie. So maybe you want to tell our listeners from your perspective of the game and your match the experience 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, true. So I would say I had quite nice view on the pitch. So it was my first time in the VIP area in Germany. And it was in the 4th row, our seat. So directly behind the bench. And so I think I was 5 meters away from Merlin Polzin, and the whole stuff was a great experience, but especially because of the game and the result. So yeah. it was really special also because even in this area, there were so many HSV fans. It was really impressive. Mainly the half of the stadium were HSV fans. So yeah, this was really great. And I didn't expect it, I have to say. So I was a little bit afraid that we are more or less the only HSV fans in this area. And if we cheer or anything, that we get maybe some problems, but was definitely not the case. So there were so many HSV fans, and was really, really nice.
So the VIP section, well, like the whole stadium in general, I would say also 50-50, probably,
I
or
would say more or less. So maybe 60-40, something like that. But yeah, more or less 50-50. So really, really crazy how many HSV fans managed to get in the stadium. And yeah, was really nice day.
It was amazing. But how did you come to this opportunity to sit in the VIP area?
The company of my boyfriend works for Wolfsburg and also for some other companies and Bundesliga clubs. And I don't know if I can say it like that, but as Wolfsburg don't sell so many tickets, they they offered them three season tickets for the VIP area. And yeah, of course, you don't say no to such an offer. And now they have the season tickets. And yeah, as they don't go to every game to Wolfsburg, I could get the tickets for this game. So really nice opportunity.
yeah, you said before this was the first VIP game in Germany. Did you went to one in another country?
Yeah, it's almost half a year ago. So I was in Copenhagen last year with my work. So there we went also to the VIP area because we were invited. And this was also such a nice experience. So as I go regularly to the stadiums, I wouldn't do it every week, to be honest, because it's not the same experience that I usually like about football games. But if you have the occasion to go there once or twice, it's really nice.
And if you would compare then our friends in Copenhagen and our away in Wolfsburg, and of course, our game was better, but just to compare the areas, which would you prefer?
Difficult question. I would say the area in Wolfsburg was more relaxed. So I think in Copenhagen there were more business people and it was maybe more, I felt more relaxed, but maybe also because I was there for private reason and not for work. So this, could also be the reason. But yeah, you see that the people who are there want to sell something or are there because they have a lot of money. And so I think you cannot compare it to a regular stadium visit. So it's, something completely different.
Yeah, interesting to hear these perspectives. Yeah, but back on Saturday evening, we spent the game together on the standing area. Huge contrast to the VIP area, I guess.
Yes.
So how did you see the game on Saturday? Maybe let's transition to this part of our podcast. Maybe just one thing to mention before. The club had an initiative which was named something like Weared by You, Weared by Our Fans. And the club has, for the first time in German football history, I don't know if this happened abroad, but HSV had this initiative that every player who plays against Cologne wears a jersey which was worn by a fan before. And the fans had the opportunity to write a message on the back of the club's logo inside of the jersey, which was amazing. You have to see it on Instagram. It's just amazing. The fans who wore the jerseys before, they all had a video, which was, some of them were posted online. And you see a bus driver, you see a dentist, you see a social worker. Yeah, so I highly recommend watching these videos on social media. But now let's come to the match. How did you guys see the match? Was it a deserved draw?
Yeah, I definitely believe it was a deserved result in the end. Or what would you say, Bonnie?
Yeah, so I think the game has no winner deserved. it was not our best match, but also for Cologne, I think they didn't play that well. So maybe they had some more chances, but also not a great football to say.
What do you think about Damien Downs? A year ago, he played for Cologne and now plays for us. What do you think about Damien Downs' performance on Saturday?
Oh, that very difficult, very difficult. I mean, we have, well, maybe we need to be more patient, but we only got him on loan for 6 months, and it's really difficult to be patient after half of the complete period now, because he didn't really show us anything, not only against Köln, but in his complete time, I believe now. I mean, he had 2 good shots against Leipzig, but that was pretty much anything. And I mean, you see that he wants to accomplish something, but I don't know if it's about his quality or just not that he doesn't have the luck he needs, but it was a very bad performance on Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. I saw or I remember that one scene where he gets the ball and so he's not able to shoot on the goal or anything. So it was just not really good. And this is the only thing I remember from him. So as a striker, I think not a great performance, we have to say so.
I agree with both of you. I think the scene you mentioned, Bonnie, was the cross. I don't know from whom it came, but I think from Mikkel Bronsis, who made a good game, I would say. But then it just passed through Downs. And I mean, he's a striker. He should at least shoot on the goal, or he should at least be able to shoot on the goal. If it goes through, you never know. But to not get a shot out of this chance is not so good. But despite of that, what happened on Saturday, I think not too much. But let's briefly recap. We scored the first goal in was it the 30th minute? Kind of,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, a few minutes later, I would say, but
A few minutes later.
maybe 38 or something like that.
But a brilliant goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was out of nowhere, I would say. We played very, very, at least harmless first half. And then the long ball by William, and then what a finish. Pure world class. I mean, I don't know when I saw a goal like that the last time, at least in Hamburg.
I remember Lennart because we were next to each other and we both screamed at each other, "What a great goal!" So we couldn't believe it because it was so nice. And it's been a long time that we've seen something like this in the stadium.
I think so too. I think the last time maybe was the goal by Rensford Königsdörfer against Ulm. Do you remember?
Yeah, I thought about that as well, but the goal by Fabio was more special, I would say. It was much more difficult, not only because of the angle, but how he shoots it with his foot.
Yeah, with the outer edge.
Yeah, with the outer edge. Just amazing. Just amazing.
Definitely. But this was mainly our only chance on this game, right? Did we have another shot on target? I don't think so.
No, not on target, no. But 2 minutes before the end, we had another good chance. But the header went a few centimeters beneath the post on the wrong side.
By Daniel Fadli.
Yeah.
I think that was really it. And but same with Cologne. They also had just one very close chance and they scored. Said El Mala, right?
Yeah, at least one shot on goal, I believe. One good shot on goal. They had a few other shots which were deflected or above the crossbar or something like that.
What do you think about Said El Mala, the player?
Yeah, he's an amazing player. And pure quality, and probably maybe we see him at the World Cup for Germany in a few months.
You think so?
I don't think so, because he plays not often enough, which kind of confuses me, because I believe he's by far the best player in Köln's kader. It's Scott, I'm sorry. But I probably would take him if I would be the German national coach.
I thought he was a bit aggressive against us. I think there was one foul where he received a yellow card and he was pushing. Who was it? Was it Mikkel Bronsis? I don't remember. but he was pushing him like 2 meters away and was acting like he did nothing. And he, from my perspective, received the yellow card so well deserved. And I always don't like this. You know that you made something wrong and you act like you did nothing. And I think just a couple of minutes later, he got substituted. But as you said, it's a good player. But if he really will be nominated for the World Cup, let's see. Before that, I would definitely nominate Nikolai Remberg to participate in the World Cup.
Obviously, but these are two completely different positions. So I think Ermana and Renberg, they don't have so much to do with each other if it comes to a player nomination.
That's right. And maybe one more thing about the Cologne game, because I think there is not too much to say, despite of that. There was one bizarre scene during the match, another yellow card. Do you know which scene I mean?
No.
Out of nowhere, no.
No? Our doc received a yellow card, our doctor, when he treated Mikke Bronsis. Did you see it?
I saw it in the highlights, and then I remembered that I wondered during the game who received the yellow card in this situation, because I didn't understand at all who receives a yellow card in this situation, because I thought our player is lying on the ground, and yeah, so I think it couldn't be him who got the yellow card, sorry, but yeah, I didn't understand why.
Me neither. I just read the article later, which was mentioning that he is the doctor, our team doctor. He had a discussion with the referee. I think the situation before, and then I don't know what the referee saw or heard, but then he pushed him a bit and showed him the yellow card, and I just thought, okay, wow, where are we here to show a doctor the yellow card? But a fun fact: if a doctor receives 5 yellow cards or a red card, he would still be able to treat the players, but he would not be able to sit on the bench. He would need to follow the game from, let's say, the tunnel. And if a player got injured and the treatment is needed, then he would be allowed to return to the pitch. Never heard about it before, but I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, would be a funny view, but I think 5 yellow cards for a doctor, it has to be, well, I don't think it's had ever been before, and we don't will see that.
But I'm
Probably.
not sure about the amount, but isn't it that for the trainers, they only need to receive like 3 cards until they are suspended? I think so, right?
I think so too. So they definitely need less cards, and I think the whole stuff then, it would make sense. You have a good point here. So I would assume too that this doctor would also just qualify for this, let's say, extra treatment after 3 yellow cards, maybe. Lennart is looking it up. We have our researcher here in the podcast.
Now I wanted to see how many cards Merlin Patzin already has.
Despite of the fact how many cards he already has, when he receives the next card, he will be suspended, right?
Okay, because he has now 3, and so maybe for the coaches it will be 4.
It will be 4 then, yeah.
For suspension, yeah.
And I think he already received these first 3 yellow cards quite early this season, and for quite a few games now was able to behave and not receive another yellow card. Let's hope that he will stay on the side of the pitch for as long as possible, not being suspended soon. Is there anything else about the Cologne game? Yes, Bonnie, please.
I just wanted to ask you about your opinion about the referee, because so I didn't have a great opinion. So I didn't think he was that bad or that good. But a colleague today told me, who's Cologne fan, that in his opinion, the referee was a total Hamburg supporter, and I didn't really understand. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you remember some scenes that he could mention, because yeah, I was like, why? I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, I have an idea because there were some people calling out a foul from Mikke Bronsis, which could have been a red card for him. I saw the replay. I know what they mean, but it was a very unlucky hit in the movement, and I don't believe a red card would be the right decision. From my point of view, there was only one scene which I was angry with the referee, but not because he made the wrong decision, but because he really broke off the game before Königsdörfer could shot on target. And we have scenes where we keep on playing when the player is probably 7 meters offside, and we still keep playing. And when our striker makes a foul, it is already in a few seconds called off. And I was angry that he didn't let the game play on, that maybe Königsdörfer shoots a goal and then check it. But in the end, it was a clear foul, and for me, it wasn't a mistake. So I don't have anything to say about the referee in general besides that.
I agree with both of you. From my perspective, he was, let's say, in the first half, sometimes a bit quick with his decisions and made a lot of breaks in the game that were not really necessary, in my opinion. But I mean, that's okay. In the end, was an okayish leading style of the game.
But he did it on both sides. These
exactly.
Small fouls.
Yeah, I think there is no reason to argue about the ref, at least not in this game. There might for sure be other ones this match day too, but I think not our game. It's now 26 games played, and we have 30 points. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, difficult question. So I remember after our game in Heidenheim, so our first away win, I spoke to another friend of us, and we said that if we have 35 points at the end of the season, this will be enough. And I still think that this is the case, but there are all the teams winning from the lower table, I would say. So yeah, even these 5 points are difficult to get, I would say, because all the matches we have left are against teams before us, except Bremen, and this is obviously our derby, so also a difficult game. So yeah, might be quite difficult to get the points.
Lennart, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the 30 points after 26 games is for now a good result. We are 6 points clear above the relegation zone and have the better goal difference. I think this is something we would all have signed up for at the start of the season. But what Ronny says is, it's correct. We have a very, very strong opponents. I've read that we have from all Bundesliga clubs the most difficult one, at least if you go from the current positions in the table. But we play Augsburg at home, Bremen away. These are teams which are probably as strong as we are. And Freiburg, Frankfurt are also teams which can be beaten. And maybe we get something out of a few difficult away games as well. Stuttgart, Dortmund. We have to see.
Yeah, we have to see, and we will see. I'm very confident that we will make it by the end of the season. 8 games left to secure a minimum of 5 points with at least 3, if not 4 home games. This should be possible. I'm very confident. And the home games are, as you mentioned, Augsburg, Hoffenheim too, and Freiburg. And at least 2 of these games, I mean, I'm pretty sure that we will be able to secure enough points to stay in the league. And maybe this will enable us to transition to our next part of the podcast. Maybe this will enable us to save the contract or to extend the contract of Daniel Heuer Fernandes, because this week it was announced that this contract will extend if we secure the league automatically, by the way. So there is no need to act right now. And it also would enable us to maybe buy Fabio Vieira. There were news this week about Fabio Vieira and his contract.
Yeah, but a small addition to Heuer Fernandes, I've read that the club still wants to renew the contract even before we officially save the league.
Yes.
Yeah, I've read it. So
Okay.
I think they don't want to wait. And this is a very good sign for the player as well, I would say.
I think so too. I mean, maybe he will sign a contract, which will basically make him number 2, maybe. I mean, it always depends on his performance, of course, but we bought a very talented goalkeeper for almost 3 million last transfer window, so we would not have bought him to remain second goalkeeper for years. So we will see how that turns out. But back to Fabio Vieira, there were news this week to maybe be able to buy him by the end of the season. What do you think about it? Did you read the article too?
Yes, but I think it's a really difficult week to speak about it after such a great goal. So this is not the best week to speak about the lower price because he showed once more what qualities he has. So I think we don't need to speak about what a great player he is. So I'm curious about how how we can lower the price, or if we can lower the price of 20 million. Yeah, difficult.
But what made me happy, very happy about the article, was that it was said that we already agreed on a contract with Fabio. Because in the past, there were some articles which were saying that he wants to go back to Portugal, maybe wants to play for Porto again. So this would at least mean he wants to stay in Hamburg, which is a very, very important first step. So, and about the price, I've read that they want to lower it under 10 million, and this would be crazy. I mean, we've got him from Arsenal. Premier League clubs value money very differently from us. But I can't imagine that they would sell him to us for, let's say, 8-9 million when they can get maybe 20-25 from a club like Crystal Palace or something like that in the Premier League, which he could have as well if he would agree to play for them.
Yeah, I mean, it would be an absolute bargain. It would be fantastic to get him for this amount of money. We will see. Let's hope that he will continue playing so well in our jersey. Did you see the women's matches in the weekend and under the week last week against Bayern?
Only the results, not the games.
Yeah, me too.
You too? Me too, unfortunately. But what about the results?
Yeah, I believe the cup game against Bayern went as we've expected. After we've got the first goal very early, I thought this became a very horrible match for us. But in the end, we've lost 3-0 against the by far best team in Germany, one of the best teams in Europe. I think this is the result everyone can live quite well with in the end. Or what would you say?
Absolutely. And the other result on Saturday was maybe even more important, at least to keep Jena, one of the 3 clubs playing around the relegation spots and slots, to keep them on distance. And I mean, of course, would have been better to win there, but at least we secured a very important point against them so that they could not catch up with us.
Yeah, and also because we received the red card. Sorry, I don't know why I'm always confusing the colors. So the red card, and it was not a short time that Jena was one woman more. So I think the point is good result. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have also now 3 points ahead of Essen, which is also very important. And I believe also 4 or 5 goals, which is probably nothing because in this league, high result from time to time is not that unnatural, I would say. But at least a 3 and not 2 points before them as well.
Yes, so 1 game buffer in between. I have one other topic, which is not about HSV. I want you to take a brief look in the second division, on the lower places in the table. You know who is currently 17th?
Yeah, I know.
Holstein Kiel.
Trained and coached by our beloved Tim Walter. I think, meanwhile, he coached them for 3 games and they did not come out there. What happened?
Well, I saw some scenes because Kiel was playing the first game under Walter against Elversberg, and there were 2 games similar playing, and I've watched all 3 of them. And during that game, they made a very good first game. They were at least eye to eye, maybe even the better team, and they definitely deserved a point against Elversberg, who play on the top of the table. I believe they are now 4th or 5th place, so it's a very, very strong side. But yeah, the last 2 games I didn't saw Kiel, so I can't say anything about that. But at least against Nürnberg, it was a very disappointing result, but it was, I think, 3-2, so not a very, very bad loss. And the second game they lost against Darmstadt, who also play at the top of the table. So these were 3 not easy games as well.
You're right. You're right. We will see. I personally wish Tim Walter all the best. And on Sunday they will play in Bochum. Yeah, we will keep you posted.
Yeah, since they are in the very direct concurrent with my home team, I can't wish Tim Walter the best right now, but he might be forgiving me.
Maybe just an injury update about our squad. Last week, Yusuf Pausen, our captain, was getting injured again, and he will be out for another 3 to 4 weeks, I guess, if not more. In addition to Albert Grönbeck, but I think he will be back soon, at least sooner than Yusuf Pausen. Poor guy, but in the end, he will have made 12, 13 games for us with a total of, let's say, 300 minutes or 400 minutes. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but main point is it's way too less for the replacement of Davy Selke. Yeah, I think we all promised us more of this transfer. But let's, of course, wish him all the best to return soon. And with that being said, from my opinion, we could hear our question of the week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, like every week. So maybe today will be my father. I don't know.
True. Yeah, let's see who joins us today.
This would be a great surprise.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe it's your father, Bonnie. So
Yeah, true.
Yeah, stimmt.
he is at least a HSV fan, so he might be hearing our podcast. I don't believe my father is hearing this. So.
I think my father is hearing. So yeah, when we came back yesterday from Hamburg, he heard your last episode. He told me.
Ah,
So,
yeah, okay.
Great. Look. Nice. So greetings to your dad. Okay, then I will start a voice message.
This is Lucius Malfoy from Malfoy Manor in Wiltshire. I'm not interested in your podcast, but one of my admirers asked me to ask you filthy muggles a question. This question is directed specifically at Lennart. On Saturday, I was sitting in the VIP box next to the German Minister of Magic. I saw several stickers featuring a supposed wizard named Merlin. Am I correct in thinking that someone there is named Merlin and is a wizard? I only experienced one magical moment at the stadium when the player with the number 20 scored a magical goal. In my opinion, this man is a wizard. My first question, is this the Merlin? If not, who is this player? In my opinion, this man is the Nimbus 2000 of the squad. Do you know anyone who was convinced of this player from the very first moment and is his biggest fan? I'd love to make him happy and sign this player for him. Second question. On Saturday, I saw an old man wearing a grey jacket. He was shouting the whole game, had a red face, and looked just like Sirius Black on the wanted poster. Do you know this man? Is he from Azkaban? And why he is so angry? Even if your muggles are dishonorable, I expected an honest answer.
Okay, Lennart, I think this question is specifically for you. So go ahead.
Well, fantastic questions, Lucius. I would say let's start with the first one. Our coach is called Melvin, so therefore you probably saw these stickers, and his greatest magic trick, I would say, was to bring us back into the first division. So you could quite say our coach Merlin Polsin is a wizard, yeah. But the player you saw scoring the goal, his name is Fabio Vieira. So no, he is not the Merlin you saw on these stickers. But if you can convince him and his club to sell him to us, I believe not only me, but a lot of my friends and Bonnie and Philip as well would be very, very happy and grateful to you. So please do your best. I believe you know some magic tricks as well. Maybe use one of them.
And do you know, Lennart, someone who always believed in him from the very first minute? I think that was part of the question too.
Well, I know a lot of people who believed in him from the very first minute. I think at least everyone who saw him playing before at Arsenal, for example, or Porto. For example, my friend Marcus, me as well, for example, because like I said, I saw him at Arsenal already a few years ago. A great player, which it was pretty clear that he would be a huge improvement to our squad.
But do you think Marcus watched Arsenal? Doesn't he usually watch the women's team from Arsenal?
He likes a men's team as well, so I'm pretty sure that maybe he doesn't saw every game from him, but at least he saw him sometimes, I believe, yeah.
Okay, third question, Lennart.
The second question, I believe, maybe you want to answer this one first, Philip? About the man in the grey jacket?
The man in the grey jacket. I would hand over to Bonnie, our guest today. Bonnie, do you know the man in the grey jacket?
Yeah, I know him. I think Lucius is referring to one guy of our fan club that is very well known in our stands because, yeah, as we already heard in the question, he sometimes get a little bit aggressive, especially when the game is not that well and not is coming up to his expectation, who are usually really high. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think he himself played in the 5th or 6th league,
I think so.
Not that bad. And he always says, I think minimum one time per game, that he could beat up to them on the pitch.
In the age of, I think, 75, right?
Yeah.
Or almost 75. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think what the question is referring to, that one time one guy next to us asked if we know who this guy is with the gray jacket and how crazy he is. So yeah, it's a funny story.
But for the information for Lucius, Wolf wasn't in Azkaban. Not at least to my knowledge. And also not in another prison. So to conclude this, yeah.
But wasn't he in a cell in Manchester?
Yeah, I've only heard I heard that story as well, but he says he wasn't, so maybe
But I think his wife doesn't know this, so let's hope that she's hearing she's not listening to your podcast.
Yeah.
He also declined it till today, so maybe this is just a slight exaggeration of the events during our game in Manchester 2009, I believe.
Okay, so I hope Lucius Lennart answered the question to your satisfaction. And from now on, let's have a look forward to the Dortmund match, I would say. Bonnie, as you are from Dortmund and you are our guest today, what will await us in Dortmund? What makes the city special? Maybe that. What will the away fans see and experience in Dortmund? And what makes the stadium special too?
And maybe what makes the game special for you, not only because you come from Dortmund, but because of your employer as well.
Many questions.
Yeah, okay. So let's start with your first question, Philipp. So I think the stadium in Dortmund, or also the fans, are very well known in the world because of, as it is called, the yellow wall. So yeah. The stands in Dortmund, which are the biggest one, I think, at least in Germany, with 25,000 people who can stand on the one side. And yeah, so I mean, it's also the biggest stadium in Germany with 80,000 or more than 80,000 people. So yeah, it can be very loud, but I think it always depends on the importance of the game and also how Dortmund is playing. So I imagine for our game next week, it won't be that crazy. So because it's not that important for Dortmund anymore to win this game. And also, we have to be honest, Hamburg is not that opponent that is so important to Dortmund in this situation of the season. And yeah, but let's see. I mean, if it's a great game, so the stadium can be very loud, but I think it's not always that loud. So I don't know if you understand what I mean. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I think what's really special for the city, you have to say, or you have to admit that 80,000 people in a city where I think around 600,000 people live. So it's a great number of people who are coming every 2 weeks to the stadium and supporting this club. And I think if you come to Dortmund on a match day, you cannot not know that it's a match day. So it's completely different in comparison to Hamburg, for example, because in Hamburg, you have 2 million people who live there. And it's really possible that you go through the city and don't notice that there's a match day on this day. And in Dortmund, I would say it's impossible because everywhere in the city you see supporters, you see people wearing yellow. So it's a color you see everywhere, and or you directly notice if you see it. And yeah, I think this is really special about Dortmund, that the matches have a really huge visibility in the city.
Do you have another question, Lennart?
Yeah, I was asking Bonnie what the game, or why the game is so special also for you. I mean, for all of us, it was, but at least I would say our home game in general, because it is the state which is nearest to us, I believe, right now in the league. But for you, it's more than special for more than one reason, I would say.
Yeah, you're definitely right. So for me personally, it's really special because I'm born in Dortmund and I've grown up here. And yeah, more or less all of my friends, except then you, are Dortmund supporters. And that's why it has always been a special match to me because, yeah, if we lose, I really suffer. So because everyone is telling me that we have beaten, or we were beaten by Dortmund. But yeah, also since 1.5 years, more or less, I'm working for Borussia Dortmund actually, and yeah, that's why it's another good reason why it's a special game for me. Yeah.
So you've traded your classmates against colleagues now.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
are Dortmund supporters.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a great subject in the office since I would say 4 weeks or something that everyone is asking me if I'm curious about the game or if I'm happy and if I'm looking forward to it and where I will be in the stadium. Also
Mm.
questions like this. So yeah, it has a huge meaning, the game.
And where will you be in the stadium, Bonnie?
I think my colleagues won't hear it. But of course, I'm in the guest sector, so I'm looking forward to this game since 8 years now and really looking forward. So I've been there in the stadium quite often in the meantime with my friends from Dortmund. And every time when I'm there, I'm looking to the guest section and thinking, when will I have a reason again to be there? And now I have it because Hamburg is playing there. So yeah, there's no other option for me.
Which brings me to another question. Philip, where will you be next week? Because I've heard you have a very, very special place in the stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, let's not spend too much time on this question. Yeah, but in fact, I will have the same privilege like you had, Bonnie, in Wolfsburg, because my former employer invited me and my girlfriend, for its birthday on Friday, into the VIP area in Dortmund. And I really had to think about it because, as you guys know, I also had a guest sector ticket. And yeah, I mean, as you said, Lennart, it's so close to our homes, and it's basically kind of a home game for me too. Not nowhere near as it's a home game for you, Bonnie, but nevertheless, it's a special game for all of us. So I really had to think about it, but of course, then also together with my girlfriend and yeah, with the guys from my former company, I accepted the invitation to watch the game also from the VIP area, and will provide you guys with footage and material of the guest sector firsthand. So looking forward to this too.
Great. So we can be looking forward to another VIP review next week, this time provided by you, Philip.
Yes, yes, yes. We will see that. But what do you think about the game? Maybe just one or two sentences. I think there is not too much to say, as we had our guest Bonnie today, who provided us with first-hand information about Dortmund, what will await us there. But what about the game? How do you think we will play? Will Capaldo be back? And would you put Downs out and maybe Glatzel in? What do you guys think?
Yeah, so of course it will be very difficult. Of course, Dortmund is the better team, and in I would say 90% and 95 maybe of the games they will win, but you never know. So my colleagues already told me because this will be the weekend where the special jersey of Dortmund launches, and last year when the special jersey came
Mm.
out, they lost the home game. So yeah, they said it's always a bad occasion because usually they don't play that well when the special jersey comes out. So yeah, of course they choose the game against the great HSV for for this occasion. So yeah, you never know. Maybe we are lucky, but of course in most of the cases we will lose the game because yeah, Dortmund has the better players and yeah.
Yeah, I think Bonnie is absolutely right. We are definitely complete, yeah, on complete disadvantage if it comes to the one-on-one comparison between the players. But you also already said, Bonnie, that Dortmund doesn't really need to win this game anymore. I mean, of course, they are not clear in the race for the Champions League, but yeah, the huge, I would say, importance isn't there anymore. So maybe this is also a chance for us. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's a very, very difficult game. For your question, Philip, I'm not sure if I would bring Capaldo even if he could play, because we have 2 week break now after the Dortmund game. Maybe give him these 2 weeks so he can heal his injury more, I would say, and because he's so important and we need him for the upcoming 7 games after the Dortmund game as well. And You also asked about Glatze, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I can't imagine that he will be freeing Glatze, not after these few minutes Glatze already got or didn't get so far in the season. So I can't imagine it, but I probably think that Königsdörfer will play in the central striker position next week or this week, and maybe Otela from the left side again. But yeah, let's see about that.
I don't know if it's true, but today I read that Glatze is only the 5th striker in the squad, so that he won't get too many chances and maybe leaves the club in summer. So yeah, I don't really understand why, and I'm a little bit sad about it, but I think, yeah, he won't play.
Yes, I read this article too, Bonnie. It's a pity. I think he's our record goal scorer in the second division, and
By far.
yeah, by far, and was a leading player in our young history. So it's very sad to see what happened to him. I really wish that he will score some more goals this season for us, but I also think that he might be not in the position to do so, also in Dortmund. But maybe the last thing in this episode, what's your prediction on the game? Bonnie, what do you think? How will the game end?
Yeah, I think I have to be aware of what I'm saying, but maybe I'm going with a draw, so 1-1.
And who will be our goal scorer?
Maybe I would say Königsdörfer because he scored in the first match against Dortmund, but I think I'm going with Vuskovic, and for Dortmund, I think it will be Girassi or Bayer. I'm not sure.
Okay, what do you think, Lennart?
Well, I wanted to predict a 2-2, but after Bonnie said that Dortmund doesn't play so well in their new jerseys, and Lucius Malfoy already brought the magic into our episode, I tend to, well, in honor of maybe one of my most favorite stadium experiences, I predict 4-1 to us. Just like
Oh.
2013. And our goal scorers, 2 times Fabio Vieira, 1 time Luka Vuskovic, and Brentford about Königsdörfer will be also one goal scorer for us. And for Dortmund, for my good friend Marcos, because he loves him so much, Karim Adeyemi.
Yeah, I will go with the 2-1 for us, and Vieira and Vuskovic will be the goal scorers.
And for Dortmund?
And for Dortmund, Schlotterbeck.
My special friend, okay.
We will see. We will see. And this brings us to the conclusion of our episode. Bonnie, thank you so much for being here and for giving us the insights on what awaits us on Saturday in Dortmund.
Yeah, thanks again for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you for coming here, and hopefully you will come again.
Yeah, latest for the next game against Dortmund next season.
Also a Mallorca podcast.
Yes, that's the
yeah.
thing. You will be part of our Mallorca episode, Bonnie.
Yeah.
It's the coming back together of all your guests so far, more or less.
Yeah, right. Kati will be there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Then we have to take care about Daniel, that he will join us there to make the full guest experience.
Yeah.
Even on
So the
Mallorca.
whole cast will be there for our season conclusion episode. Yeah.
Yes. All right. See you on Saturday, guys. And to all of our listeners, thank you for listening to this 7th episode. Hear you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.